Barak, Ahaya, Halal, Hallelujah, Shalom, planet Earth. Welcome back to True Talk. Today we gonna expose and debunk the overpopulated, the overpopulation that the globalists and the government of this world like to push, because they like to say that we overpopulated. And it made me think that the Most High foolish? Did he make a earth for people and did not consider that the earth is not big enough? That there's too many people up on the earth? Where do this idea come from? Because it definitely don't come from the scriptures. Because the scriptures tell us to be fruitful and multiply. So now they telling us that the earth is overpopulated. So we cannot be fruitful and multiply no more. So that's why they want men's with men's and women's with women's, and they don't want women's having children, or they want you to have children. They want you to have one or two. And uh, why they saying this? They saying this is necessary is because the earth is overpopulated. That they can't feed everybody. But the truth is, the earth is not overpopulated. It's just too many people on earth for them to control. And they know if they really want to control this planet, that it would be best if there was less people, less woke people, people that would fight against the system, less Negroes people. Because let's be honest, uh, most of this planet is made up of Negroes people. So when they talk about overpopulated, they saying it's overpopulated with Negroes. We need to stop the Negroes for having babies. Not that this earth cannot contain us, because the Most High created this earth could contain us and 20 times more. And I'm going to prove it through their own data. And not only their own data, but we got to have common sense and see with our own eyes. And this is what the Most High gave us. The Most High gave us eyes to see and common sense and to be able to comprehend. So we can be able to, if somebody tell us it's an orange in front of us and we know it's an apple, that because we see it's an apple, we don't just believe it's an orange because somebody tell us it's an orange. A lot of us believe the earth is overpopulated only because we've been told this. But do your eyes tell you something different? Look, I'm from Georgia, and this is just a picture of just a little area out in Georgia. You see all this land? And if you ever ride through Georgia, it's a boring ride. You may, when you ride through Georgia to go to anywhere, all you gonna see is wood and farmlands, miles and miles. And then you may stop and there may be a little small town here or there. But in between every little small town in Georgia, that may have maybe 3,000 to 4,000 people living there. There's nothing but country and farmland. Look at all this land out here in Georgia. Nothing but woods, untouched. And then when you look at New York, now I give them that there's certain cities that may be overpopulated, or certain places that may be overpopulated. Well, there's a whole bunch of people there, but I wouldn't even call that overpopulated. I just say there's a lot of people there. So like New York, New York is considered a city where it's overpopulated. It got a lot of people there. But I did not realize even myself that all New York is not just a big city. See, you got New York, the state, and then you got New York, the city. But this right here is part of New York, the state. And this is 3 hours from New York. So if you ride 3 hours out of New York, this is what you're going to see. Farmland for miles, hills, country. I met this young lady earlier this year, and she said she was from New York. In the same breath, she said she grew up on the country, on the farm. And I said, wait a minute, I thought you were from New York. And she was like, yeah, but I'm not from the city part. I'm from the country part. And I didn't know there was a country part of New York. She was like, yeah. We had cows, we had a farmland. So New York is not overcrowded. New York City is overcrowded and probably overpopulated. But this state of New York, look, is filled with country land. But you can go and don't see people for miles. This is another part of New York, country land. And all you gotta do is Google New York country land. All this land is for sale and they protect it. Look, you don't see no tall buildings. You won't hear no trains. This is only 2 to 3 hours from the big city. And you get farmland for miles and miles and miles. But the earth is overpopulated, right? And I'm just talking about the United States right now because this is the land that I'm currently uh, still serving my captivity in. My ancestor was brought here by theft, was forced here, and we still here. So we in the land of our captivity. So this is what I'm talking about, the United States. And I don't even want to get on Africa. How many how many farmland and lands and country that they got is miles and miles of nothing but just straight farmland and forests and woods. This is Georgia again. This is my home state. Look at that. This is North Georgia because you can see the mountains. In North Georgia, we got mountains. A lot of folks don't know that. That's where the name Stone Mountain come from. But you got nothing but wood area, nothing but land for miles. And then outside of this, if you go maybe, I don't know, an hour and a half outside this country land, you may come into a small town or a big town with, somewhere between 7,000 or 25,000 people living there. And then you drive out of that town and you see country miles, you'll see woods and country until you come to another small town or a big town, wherever you at in Georgia. Because in Georgia we got these little, what we call small one horse town, or that might have one stoplight, that might have just one grocery store, that might just have 1,000 people there. And then you have bigger cities uh, that have malls and Walmarts and ghettos and hoods that that have 30 to 40,000 people there. Another part of Georgia. When you ride through Georgia, that's all you're gonna see. Country land. Somewhere out here a little lake, somewhere out here surrounded by woods or country land. And this is a map that I'm gonna break down And this is their own map talking about basically you can break it down to population. And these green in these purple, light purple and dark purple areas are major cities. This is where a lot of populations are at. This is where a lot of people are at. You see right here, this will probably be Chicago or Illinois. This is Texas, this Dallas, You see California, LA, uh this Georgia, around here is the city of Atlanta. So you see that purple well, there's be a lot of population right here. Florida, this is where, you got Tampa Bay, you got Miami, you got many major cities in Florida where population is a lot. But then you got these little green dots. Well, let's just say this: the purple is 100,000 and more. This is where 100,000 and more people are at. When it comes to people and population, it's 100,000 or more. The green is 100,000 or less. So these are places in America where you can go that there's either 100,000 people there or less. It's not as populated as the purple. And then you got the white. Well, is less populated. Well, you'll probably get 10,000 to zero. This is where there's barely not a high population. I ain't gonna say nobody staying there. Some of these places ain't nobody staying there. Like these places right here in America. These places right here, a lot of black people don't stay there, and the population is not high. That's why you see right here what you see. Purple right there is very populated. Purple right there is very populated. Then you see the green, where there's maybe 100,000 or less people there. And then in the white, there's 10,000 people there or less, or none. So this is the population in America. This is how it's set up. Look at all that white. All that white is 10,000 and less people. Spread it out, nothing but country land, nothing but land. And, but the world's overpopulated, right? Look at this. This is their own data. The blue countries contain 72% of the U.S. land, but only 1% of the population. So only 1% of the population stay in these areas. Remember, I just pointed out the areas where the dot, you can see all that white area. Don't too many people stay in these areas of the United States. Everybody stay around here in the city part in New York and New Jersey and Atlanta and Chicago and Dallas, Texas and LA. All these major cities that you hear about. But look, this is 1% of the population stays in these blue places. Not very populated. A lot of farmland, a lot of country land, a lot of deserts. You can go for miles and see nothing but dirt. So a lot of people don't want to stay there. And this is the world map. Look at this. Distribution of the world population. 5% live here. 5% of the world population live in the blue part. Only 5% of the world population. Remember we just seen in the USA that barely people stay right here in the USA. This is a place in the USA, in the middle of the USA. There's very few people that stay there. I've heard there was some country where there's white people that never seen black people because there's never because not that there's not black people in these areas, but there's not black people where they at. But look, Canada. Look, all this is ice, dry. All this right here, wooded area, country area. Now that's people here, but not that very many. Not that very many. When I say not that very many, it may can be 3 million people in this area, but to the global population, that's not that many. That's a small amount. Look at this in Africa. Remember this desert right here, but these blue places down here in South Africa, that's nothing but woods and farmland and country land. All over here, look. Russia is a big place, a big land, but most of it don't got that very population. Most of the Russians stay around this part, and this part of Russia are empty. And you can do a video when they talk about China and how half of the population, or 90% of the population, stay on just a small part of China. And they got cities in China that they call ghost cities, where they built up where there's major cities that is empty that nobody stay in. Because most of the population will stay on one side. So that's why it's crowded on that side. But it ain't like China ain't got space to hold its people. China got plenty of place to hold its people. They got many of cities that are empty, just waiting to be preoccupied. Look, that red part is 5% live here. And because this place is so crowded, just think about 5% of the world spread. 5% was in this little spot. You would think, wow, this part, if you go here, this is kind of like India. I think they say India is very populated. Yeah, it's very populated, but this population in India only make up 5% of the whole world. At least that's what I'm saying. The people say, like, I don't know, just estimate 20 million probably stay in this little area. And this little area is populated because 20 million people is crammed out here. But look at all this blue where nobody's barely staying at. So that's when basically when you hear them say the world is populated, overpopulated, mainly they saying the world is overpopulated with Negroes from the Planned Parenthood. It was their job to, it's too many Negroes on this planet. It's not that they don't have enough food to feed people, even though we know we got countries and kids going hungry. Because in the U.S., in the great old USA, it's supposed to be so loving and kind and help people. They throw away food every day. You know, I know people and got family members that work at McDonald's and these fast food places. And if somebody come through and order something and then don't then uh don't pick up their order, that food go in the trash. If the employees don't want to eat it, and at the end of the day, all the food that got ordered but nobody picked up, or the mistakes they made that somebody wanted pickles and they didn't somebody didn't want the pickles and they put pickles on it, so they had to make another burger. All that food that's left over get thrown away. All them burgers that they made that had a mistake or somebody didn't pick up, it's just thrown in the trash. Same thing for the nursing home. The nursing home, every day they make a amount of food, and it be food left over. Well, they make a great amount where if anybody wants seconds, then they can come back and get seconds, and there can be enough for everybody. Or if a family member come visit, maybe a family member might want something, they'll be able to get something. But at the end of the day, all that food that be left over, they throw it away. In the school, I had uh my mama boyfriend sister worked at the schoolhouse, and she used to bring us the leftovers from the school because she said they just get thrown away. That we take it home to ourselves. That we don't take it home, we don't want it. Then they they tell us to throw it away. It's and it'd be good. I'm talking about chicken nuggets, sometimes parsley. Sometimes it'd be real good food. And she bring it to us because she said I can't eat all this food, and they told me to take it home or either throw it away. And they say, she said I don't want to waste all this food. So America throw away more food than we can imagine. So it ain't that they can't feed people for being greedy. It's about control. The less, sorry for the noise in the background, but the less people on earth, the more they can control them. It's easy to control 5,000 people better than 20,000 people. So that's all it's about, people. It's just about having control. The earth is not overpopulated. There may be certain cities that's crowded or quote unquote overpopulated, but the world is not overpopulated. There's still so much land that even haven't been touched yet. Uh, Till next time, Shalom.